We're going to turn our attention to chapter 14. We are going to do the briefest of surveys of some of the mathematics behind a couple different voting methods, some of the flaws in the different voting methods. We're going to look at a little bit of the history of voting methods, specifically related to some voting in the United States. So hopefully there's something of interest here for you as we come up at the end of the year on the midterm elections, and you can maybe see some of these. There's two main voting methods we'll talk about today that are actually used in different states to determine different things. So before we get talking about voting, though, the first thing is you need to know what a majority is. I don't want you to be confused about this. So a majority refers to receiving more than 50% of the votes. Okay. Equal to 50% is not a majority. Okay, a majority has to be more than. It can be one vote more than 50%. Okay, but it has to be more than 50% of the votes is the majority. That will come into play in one of the voting methods, but I just wanted to get it out of the way up front. So example one, we're just going to get right into it. So in example one, the planning committee for the San Francisco Zoo is voting on an animal for the new logo. The choices are tiger, kangaroo, giraffe. Okay, so again, these are simplified examples because you're just getting to learn things. So bear with me on these. What we're going to do first is we're going to construct what's called a preference table to illustrate the results of this election. Okay, well, preference table, this is not anything that's too big of a deal. What a preference table is just listing the total number of outcomes of each of the different things. So what we're going to do here is, I'm just going to slide this up a little bit so it's easier to see. What we're going to do is go through the different arrangements of first, second, and third. And we're going to see how many ballots were submitted for each of the different arrangements. So first off, the first voter submitted TKG. So TKG. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through all the ballots and I'm going to see, are there any other TKGs? And we're going to, the way I'm going to structure the table, just so it's similar to what you're going to see when you do your homework, is I'm going to put the total at the top of each of the columns. So person one, I'm going to cross it out just so that I don't duplicate. Person one picked TKG. Person three picked TKG, so that's two. Who else? That's it. So two people submitted that, so I'm going to put the number 2. The total of that is 2. Everybody see what I'm doing here? I don't think this is hard, but just in case you're not reading my structure, there it is. So now I'm going to move to the next person. The next different arrangement of votes was somebody had tiger first, and giraffe second, and kangaroo third. So TGK, so that's 1 TGK. The next one, there's 2 TGKs. 3, did I miss any? Let me know, because I am very good at missing details. What's that? You got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support there. Okay, the next one is giraffe, then tiger, then kangaroo. So I've got 1 GTK, I've got 2, 3, 4 GTKs. The next one I see is KGT. It doesn't matter what order you do these columns in. I'm just going in the order that I see them. But if your brain is like, I want them in a different order, that's fine. The next one's KGT, kangaroo, giraffe, tiger. So KGT here. And then, what's that? It is. Did I miss it? There's 5. Thank you. See, that's why you guys are paying attention, and I appreciate you. Okay, so then we're doing KGT. I think I just have one of them. Yes. The next one's KTG. So KTG, I've got 1 here, I've got 2, I've got 3, and that's it. And then finally, there's one more arrangement, that's GKT. And there's one of those. I believe I did that right. Let's see. It should add up. I think there's 15 total. So that's 5, 10, 15. Yes, there's 15 total there. So there is my preference table. The preference table just lists the ballots the different types of ballots, and how many of those ballots came in with that order. Hopefully my goofing up did not make that seem more complicated than it really is. So what I would like you to do is exercise 1. It's just the same sort of thing. You're looking at votes on different brands of yogurt. And so there's 8 voters. So go ahead and create the preference table that goes along with that. All right, so again, it doesn't matter what order you do these columns in. That if when I'm grading your test and I have you do this, that's not going to be a consideration. I just go from left to right, but maybe some of you are doing alphabetical. Our brains are all different. I'm going to start with the DBC. So DBC right there, and I think that happens one other time right there. So there's a total of 2. So wherever that column is, though, it's occurred twice. Next, we've got CDB. And so CDB occurs once, CDB twice, and then 3 times for that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The next one's CBD, so we'll get to that one. So we got 2 more options. The next one is BDC. So once, twice on that. And last but not least is the one that looks similar to the other one because it's all just letters, and there's 1. And there's my 8 options. Are we doing okay? Anybody having trouble making a preference table? Okay, then what you're going to do then at the top of the next page is a preference table is given to you. This is just practice reading it. Again, I don't think this is anything that's going to trouble you, but I just want to make sure that I give you the opportunity to ask any questions if you have it. So give your best try to answering the 3 questions related to the preference table in exercise 2. Okay, so this table represents the ballots people turned in for this Honor Society election. So we got Antoine as A, Betty as B, Camille as C, Don as D. And then we're just asked these basic questions about reading the chart. So if you do not know where these numbers came from, that is an awesome time to ask a question. So here we go. First question. How many students voted in the election? How am I going to determine that? Just going to add all the totals at the top. And when I add 19 and 15 and 11 and 7 and 2, what do I end up with? 54. Great. Everybody with me where the 54 came from? All right, next. How many students selected CADB? 15, yes. That's just looking at that one particular column. Last but not least, how many students selected C or Camille as their first choice?
17.
Yes, so 15 here, 2 here, so that's 17 total. Any troubles so far? All right, great. That makes me happy. I hope you're not lying to me. Let me know. We got plenty of time for questions. So the first method of voting, we're going to talk about 3 methods of voting. There are other methods, but I'm just going to stick with kind of what I would consider to be the big 3, actually the most prevalent 3 as far as voting in the United States and other places. So the first one's called the plurality method of voting. And in the plurality method, each voter selects one candidate. So meaning you're not turning in a ballot with your first, second, third, and fourth. That's a different method of voting. Okay, so, and this is the basis of how we're used to voting here. We pick one candidate for each thing. And then the candidate with the most votes is declared the winner. That's what plurality means. Plurality just means, did you get the most? Doesn't matter what your percentage is. Did you just get more votes than everybody else that is running? Now, I made a little note here for our in-class work in these next few sections, and when you're doing your homework, since we don't have the ability to have an election in our book, we are given preference tables. And so when you're doing the plurality method, you are going to consider the first place vote to be the candidate that would have been voted for. Okay, so that's how we're going to work. So my example 2. Consider the vote for the zoo logo in example 1. Which animal wins using the plurality method? Okay, well, not too big of a deal. Here's my zoo vote table. This is a little, let me see. Can't really put it side by side. Okay, so we're just going to have to try to get dizzy. Okay, so let's just do this. How many people voted for the tiger? Okay, yep, 2 here, 3 here. So I'm just going to go back over here and say, okay, the tiger got 5 votes. And then the giraffe. How many votes according to the table did the giraffe get? Yep, 5 here, and then 1 more over here, so 6. Remember, we are using the first place vote as the singular vote. And then last but not least, the kangaroo. When I go back to the table, the preference table I made, how many people voted for kangaroo? Okay, 1 here, 3 here, for a total of 4. Everyone see where those numbers came from? If you see where those numbers came from, there's nothing really I can do on the plurality method. Plurality means most. So if the people, remember, election's all about agreement. Does everyone agree to the terms? So if the people voting here said, we are just going to take whatever gets the most votes, what wins? Giraffe. Thank you very much. It's been a long time since I've spelled giraffe. So there we go. Giraffe wins that vote. All right, so what you're going to do now is you're going to go to the Honor Society vote that's at the top of the page. And I want to know, if we're just going straight plurality, who wins that election? I really appreciate the enthusiasm, though. It makes me happy. All right, I'm just going to slide the page up. So how many people voted for Antoine? 7 for Antoine. I don't think this method of voting is going to work for him, but I think his luck changes later. Okay, how many people are voting for Betty in this situation? Okay, 19. Betty must have had a good platform to run on, so there we go. When I ran for SGA president, I tried to get a vending machine, but I didn't win anyway, so it's okay. How many people voted for Camille? 17. And then last but not least, how many people voted for Don? 11. Yep, this right here, these 11 right here. Remember, we're not considering any of the other things. We're assuming in a plurality election, these would have been what was on people's ballots. And so Don got 11. So if we're just going straight plurality method, who's going to win? Good for Betty. Excellent. All right. Next page. I've got some more just because we've got a lot of time and I just want to make sure this sinks in because I want everybody to do amazing on this last test. So exercise 4, who wins this election if we're just going plurality method on where the new NFL team is going to be? We'll get there. Okay, so for this one, San Antonio occurred, let's see, 6, 9, I got 9. If you get a different number than me, or if you don't see where I got my number, let me know, but 9 people voted for San Antonio. Portland got 8, 11, 13, that's 13 for Portland. Then Honolulu, that'd be fun. Honolulu got 4, and then 7, and then 9. And then last but not least, Toronto. Toronto got 1 vote. That's not a good showing. And so if we're just going straight plurality, did I get my numbers right, by the way? Okay, we've seen I have a propensity to make mistakes. So if we're just going straight plurality, then Portland would be the home of the new NFL team. If you've got a question, please ask it, because we're doing this to death. I've got more examples than you probably need, but we're just going to do them all anyway. So the next one, programmers at a TV station, they want to put a new classic TV show on at their 6 to 7 time slot, and so they voted on it. So who's going to win? So on this one, we see that the Jeffersons gets 4 votes, Seinfeld got 3, Good Times got 8, and then last but not least, Cheers got 2. So if we're voting for what's going to go to the 6 to 7 time slot, we would put Good Times on there. One more problem, Polk State is getting new computers for the faculty. Not really, but that's the problem I invented. The choices are Apple, there's the choices, you got those. The faculty members are voting on what they want. So if the plurality wins, go ahead and determine what kind of computers they would get. None of them are cheap, so you never know. Okay, so I'm assuming you're using your calculator as well. Again, this is the last plain simple plurality method. So if you've got a question on any of it, please ask before we move on. The plurality method is part of the last method we will talk about. So it's going to come back. We'll use some of these results when we come back as our first step. So 30 faculty, it looks like, voted for Apple, and then 29 voted for HP, and then 40 voted for Dell, and then 43 voted for Lenovo. So we would all be getting Lenovo computers. Okay, so far so good? All right. The next type of voting, which actually, if you pay attention to, I'm not a political guy at all, but I did notice this the last time around. Maine, I think it was, they changed their voting style where instead of just voting for a single candidate, you voted a preference sheet like we're going to see. And so what Maine did was, now you can take any of these voting methods and you can alter them in any number of ways. Again, we're just going real basic, but Maine used a basic Borda count method for voting. And what that means, what Borda is the mathematician that came up with this. So what a Borda count is in the Borda count method, each candidate is ranked and then awarded points based on that ranking. And the candidate with the most points wins. Now, the pro to this is that you can win if you don't get all the first place votes, but the con to this is that it's easily manipulated. You can really easily manipulate a Borda count election. But anyway, be that as it may. So example 3, I'm going to do example 3 just to show you how we do the Borda count method. So considering the San Francisco Zoo election that we did in example 1, which animal would be selected if we did the Borda count? So I'm going to go back to my preference table. I'm going to fold my page so that I can hopefully fit this on the page. So here is my preference table from the Borda count. And so what we're going to do is this. For each third place vote somebody got, we're going to give 1 point. For each second place vote, we're going to give 2 points. And for each third place vote, we give 3. Now, again, that's a way that you can change the Borda count model. You could space out the points a little bit and go like 5, 3, 1 or something like that. But we're just, again, we're being very straightforward here on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little total. So we're going to start with the giraffe, with the G, giraffe. And we're going to count up the number of first place votes. So I'm just going to put first here on this one. So we saw, or I guess we'll see right now, that the giraffe got 6 first place votes. So it got 6 times 3 points. I'm going to write out the word points on this very first one. I'm not going to have room to do that every time, but that's for your notes. And so that means so far the giraffe has 18 points. Then we're going to go through, we're going to count up how many times did the giraffe occur as the second place on the ballot. So now I'm going through the second place vote. So that happened 3 times, 4 times. Does everyone see how I'm getting 4? The giraffe got 4 second place votes. Are you with me on that? Okay, so there are 4 second place votes times 2 points. 4 times 2 means, okay, that's 8 more points for the giraffe. And then last but not least, we're going to count up how many times did the giraffe finish third. And the giraffe finished third 5 times. So 5 times 1 point. And that's 5. And so the total for the giraffe, the total to beat is 18 and 8 is 26 and 5 is 31. Now, I know that seems like it's taking a while, but like anything else, the more of these you do, the quicker you're going to get at it. Yeah, did I miss something?
How did you get 5?
So I'm looking at, this is my third place row. This is 2.
Okay.
And then this is 3. This is just the number of points I'm associating with each of the places. All right, so I'm going to finish out this problem and you're going to work along with me, and then you're going to have a couple of your own that you're going to do with the Borda count. So the next thing we'll do is, it doesn't matter what order, I'm going to do tigers next. So the number of times the tiger finishes first is 2 and 5 times. I'm not going to write out the word points this time just to save myself room. So far the tiger has 15 points. The tiger finishes second on 8 ballots. So that's 8 times 2 or 16 points. And then the tiger finishes third on 1, 2 ballots. So that's 2 times 1 point is 2. So that's 31, that's 33. So far the tiger is in the lead. Again, don't let me just move beyond. Do you see where I'm getting these numbers from? Okay, it's about reading the table, and when you're doing your next problem, if you're struggling, and just raise your hand, I'll come to you, we'll work it out. It'll probably be something that'll take us just a minute. Last thing to do, the kangaroo. So our kangaroo finishes first on 4 ballots, so that's 4 times 3 points or 12 points. Our kangaroo finishes second place on 2, 3 ballots, so that's 3 times 2 or 6 more points. And then the kangaroo finishes last on 8 ballots. That's 8 times 1 or 8 points, and so that's 26 points for the kangaroo. So the way you determine who wins the board account is just who has the most points. In this case, that is the tiger. So if it was agreed upon at the beginning that this election was going to be done with the board account method, then the tiger would be the winner. Okay, so what I would like you to do is go back to the Honor Society problem that we used in exercise 2. And I would like you to use the board account method to determine. Now, there are 4 candidates, so let me just make mention of this. We're going to give 1 point to the 4th place person. And then however many candidates, if you had an election with 10, you would go 1 up to 10 points. Okay, so that's how it will work. So the 3rd place is going to get 2. The 2nd place will get 3. The 1st place gets 4 points. And that's how you're going to do your election for the Honor Society. So I'm going to put pause on the video if you're watching the video. So hit pause while you do the work. Then we'll come back. I'm going to walk around the class if anybody needs me. All right, so if you're working, keep working. I'm just going to get started with the busy work. I'm going to work silently up here. So I'll go through it, check your numbers. I just don't want to overly bore you if I don't have to. So here we go. I'm gonna give about another minute. I'm gonna start going through mine. We're gonna do 2 more examples. Like I said, we're kind of overdoing it a little bit because we've got plenty of time. And I want this to be memorable because this is a big component of the next test. Yeah. Is there? Oh, there is. Thank you. So that's 15. So thank you for catching that. I appreciate it. 15 times 2 is 30. So that's going to change this to, let's add a 16. That's 20 again. 6, 7, 8, 1. Did I make any other mistakes? I'm trusting you now. That's why I wasn't an accountant. Not good with columns of numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to start going through this. Ask any questions you want, please. I beg you. I want you to do amazing on this last test. So I went through Antoine. Antoine got 7 first place votes times 4 points is 28. Antoine occurred 34 times in second place times 3 is 102. Antoine got 13 third place votes times 2 points is 26, and no fourth place votes, so 0. So Antoine got a total of 156. Betty, now if you remember, Betty won the plurality method. She got the most first place votes, but apparently Betty was either you loved her or you hated her because she got 19 first place votes for 76 points. She didn't get any second or third place votes, and she got 35 fourth place votes for 35, so that's 111. Camille, 17 first place votes times 4 points is 68. 11 second place votes times 3 is 33. 26 third place votes times 2 is 52. No fourth place votes, so that's 0. Camille's total is 153. And then finally, Don, 11 first place votes gave him 44 points. 9 second place votes gave him 27 points. 15, because I was corrected, third place votes gave him 30. And then 19, fourth place for 19 for 120. So that means if the agreement for this honor society was to do the tally by the board account method, that means Antoine is going to be the big winner right there. And there we go. Any questions about that? If you do, ask them. I'm going to wander around the class again. Exercise 8 says, okay, now look at the NFL expansion problem and do the same thing. Again, if you're watching on video, I'm going to pause the video, so you should pause as well. All right, so once again, my busy work is done. So if you're still working, keep working. So there were four selections, so 4 places. So I numbered the points, 1 for fourth, up to 4 points for first. So for San Antonio, 9 first place votes gave 36 points. 18 second place votes gave 54 points. 4 third place votes, 8 points. 1 fourth place, 1 point for 99. It looks like San Antonio is going to be the winner, as long as I've done my arithmetic correctly, which I know you're checking. For Portland, they got 13 first place votes for 52 points, 5 second place for 15 points, 4 third place for 8 points, and 10 fourth place for 10 points. Honolulu, 9 first place votes for 36 points, 9 second place votes for 27 points, 11 third place votes for 22, 3 fourth place votes for 3, in total 88. And then Toronto, apparently whoever wrote this problem does not think Toronto is a good location. So 1 first place vote, 4 points, no second place, so 0 points, 13 third place for 26, 18 for 48 points. So before I circle the winner, any trouble identifying the numbers? Okay. All right. So San Antonio, if the board account method, if this was real data, the new NFL team would be going there. Okay, so one more of these, and then the busy work part of the day is done. So if you would do the same thing one more time for the TV programming problem in exercise 5, and we're going to determine what TV show goes on by the board account method. Okay, so just sort through the busy work here. So Jefferson's got 4 first place votes, so that's 16. They've got 5 third place votes for 10, and 5 fourth place votes for, or excuse me, Oh, 8 first place votes. My pen didn't work because I saw that that multiplication did not work out. And I was wondering what I did wrong there. 8 times 1 is 8. So Jefferson's got 34 points. If you got a different number of points than I did, let's talk about that because clearly I'm having a good day. So 3 for Seinfeld, they got 12 first place points. They got 6 second place points. They got 24 third place points and 0 fourth place for 42. Good Times got 32 first place points, then 0 and 0, and then 9 fourth place points. And then Cheers got 8 first place points, but then they swept the second place points for 53. And so that's why Cheers would be on the time slot by the board account method. Okay. If there's any questions about that, ask it. If not, I am moving on to the last method for the day. And that is called plurality with elimination. Now, this is the more commonly used version of the plurality method. Remember, plurality method, you just took whoever got the most votes. And sometimes that's used, that's common in smaller elections. But plurality with elimination means this, okay? Like the plurality method, in the plurality with elimination method, each voter selects only one candidate. So far, we're exactly the same. The winner is the one who receives a majority. Now, it's not just who gets the most votes. You have to get a majority of votes. Now, remember from page 1, what's a majority mean? Majority means greater than half. Okay, so you have to get greater than half. Now, here's the catch. If no one receives a majority, if no one gets more than half, then the candidate with the lowest number of votes is eliminated and another election is held. This is repeated until a candidate receives a majority. Now, the alteration of this that you see most commonly in real world elections, this happened in Florida, I think in the last election, is if no candidate gets a majority, what they do is they take the top 2. They get rid of all the others and then have a runoff election between the top 2 or maybe the top 3. A lot of election laws state what threshold you'd have to get over in order to be part of the runoff. But the most basic form of plurality with elimination is you just get rid of the lowest and recount. Now, what we're going to do, because we can't have re-elections because we're using a table, is, well, I'll show you what we're going to do in just a minute. Okay, so let's do the example and I'll show you what we're going to do. So example 4, we're going to go back to the zoo one more time. And remember, in the plurality method, the giraffe won on our zoo election. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to our plurality. So these are the results from the plurality right here. We saw in the plurality, the tiger got 5, the giraffe got 6, and the kangaroo got 4. Well, here's what I need to do before I do anything else. I need to determine what is a majority. How do I know who wins? Okay, so in our original thing, if we counted up this is my preference table. If we count up all the votes, we've got 15. So what you do to calculate the majority is this. What's half of 15 in your calculator? What's 0.5 times 15? That's 7.5. So that means the majority, what's the next number of votes greater than half? 8, okay? The majority equals 8. So one of these animals has to get 8 votes. Did any of the animals get 8 votes when we did the plurality method? No. So here's what you do. Oh, well, before I tell you what to do, who got the lowest number of votes? Kangaroo. Okay, so we're going to go to our preference table. This is how we're going to work it. Since we cannot have a re-election, we're going to go through and we are going to cross out the kangaroo's 4 votes. So here's kangaroo, kangaroo. Those were the kangaroo's 4 first place votes. And this is the assumption we're going to make. This is not necessarily a real world assumption, but it's the assumption we've got to make because we're limited. We're now going to assume whatever somebody's second place vote would now become their first place vote. Now, that's not necessarily true. People change their mind and get new data, but we're going to assume now that the giraffe's going to get 1 more vote, right? Because we crossed out the kangaroo here. And the tiger is going to get 3 more votes. Does everyone see why I'm saying that? I crossed out the kangaroo's votes because the kangaroo got the fewest number of votes. I crossed them out. Now I'm moving down. And so the giraffe is going to get this one vote here, and the tiger is going to get these 3 votes. So let's go back to my page. I'm going to cross out the kangaroo. And we said that the tiger got 3 more votes. So the tiger becomes 8. The giraffe is going to get 1 more vote, so the giraffe becomes 7. Did anyone get a majority? The tiger did. Now, if we had more than 3 things, if someone didn't get a majority yet, we would cross out the next lowest, and we would do the whole fun thing again. Okay, so in this case, since the tiger got the majority, the tiger is going to be the winner of this election. Yes? Yeah, so this is the plurality vote. This is just how many first place votes everybody got. Tiger got 5, giraffe got 6, kangaroo got 4. No one in that first vote, we're considering that the first election, no one in that first election got a majority, which is 8. So what we do with the plurality with elimination is we eliminate the lowest vote getter, the 4. Now we're going to go back to our table. This is what we're calling our re-election. And so here are the kangaroos 4 votes, right here and here. I've crossed them out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give those votes to whoever comes next. So we gave this 1 vote right here to the giraffe because it came next. And we gave these 3 votes to the tiger because the tiger came next. Does that make sense? Yeah, great question. It's difficult to see. I totally get it. All right, so the tiger's the winner. So we're going to do this 3 times. I think we've done the plurality vote with all of them. So I'm going to give you like a minute and a half. Exercise 10. You're going to do this with the Honor Society problem from exercise 2. All right, so we did this part already. This is down at the bottom of page 2. We already did the plurality election. You're welcome to do it again. Here's the table. And we saw the first time around that Antoine got 7 votes, and Betty got 19 votes, and Camille got 17 votes, and Don got 11 votes. And so when it was just straight plurality method, we saw Betty won. Now, before I make my next step, I have to determine what is a majority. So we saw, in fact, we already answered this question. 54 students voted in the election. You told me back when we did that problem that we got that just by adding up all these totals. So half of 54, you go into your calculator, what's half of 54? 27. Remember, that's half. So that means the majority is what? Majority equals 28. Majority is always more than half. So the half of the votes is 27. The majority is 28. Did anybody get 28 votes the first time around? So who are we kicking out? A, yes, Antoine. Antoine won the board account, but Antoine's not going to win this one. Okay, so I'm going to go to my table. I'm going to cross out Antoine's 7 votes. Who do those 7 votes go to now? They're going to go to Don. Does everyone see why that is? Don is the next one right below. So here we go. Let me redo my totals. Betty got no new votes. Camille got no new votes. And Don got 7 new votes. So Don's up to 18. All right. Did anyone get a majority that time? Unfortunately, no. So we got to go through the whole cycle one more time. Who are we kicking out this time? C. Yes. Goodbye. So we're going to go to C. And so these 15 votes, who's going to get these 15 votes? Yeah. Now, you might say, well, Antoine's right below. Why doesn't Antoine get those votes? Well, Anton's already been eliminated. Sorry. So we're going to keep going down. And so D gets those votes. And then over here on the end, when we get rid of Camille, Don gets those votes. So Don gets 17 more votes. So Betty has stayed at 19. Don gets 17 more votes. That's 35. Does Don have a majority? Yes, Don is the winner of the election when we do it by plurality with elimination. I know that gets a little complicated. Does everyone see why those numbers changed the way they did in that problem? All right, well then, just 2 more examples. We'll do them one at a time. Do the same thing for the TV programming problem in exercise 5. Plurality with elimination. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite the results we got when we did this problem by plurality method. So Jefferson's got 4 votes and Seinfeld got 3 votes. Good Times was originally the winner with 8, and then Cheers had 2. Now, before I move on, I need to see what is a majority. So how many people voted in this little election right here? 17. So what is half of 17? 8.5. So that means a majority is what? Okay. Well, no one quite got 9. So who am I eliminating from this election? See you later. Cheers. And so I'm going to get rid of those 2 votes. Who gets those 2 votes? S does. S gets those 2 votes. So let's redo the totals. Jefferson stays at 4. S, Seinfeld gets the 2 votes for 5. Good Times has 8. We still don't have a majority, so who goes now? J, goodbye. So J's votes, who's getting J's votes? Cheers would have, but Cheers was already eliminated, so we're going to go down the aisle here. And so Seinfeld does, the S does. S gets 4 more votes. So here goes, S equals 4, excuse me, no it doesn't, S equals 9, 5 plus the 4, Good Times equals 8, and so that means Seinfeld wins that plurality by elimination. All right, one more and then you're free of me. You're gonna do this with the computer example. All right, so to finish this up, here is the results of our plurality, 30, 29, 40, 43. To determine the elimination part, half of 142, that's the number of votes, is 71. That's half. A majority is more than half, so a majority is 72. No one has 72, so we are going to get rid of the HP. So goodbye, HP. So those 29 votes are now going to go to D, to Dell. So I'm going to redo the totals. Apple stays at 30. Dell now goes to 69, 40 plus that 29 that we just have. And then Lenovo is 43. Still don't have a majority, so now I'm getting rid of the Apples. And so Apple, I cross those out, and those 30 votes are going to go to Dell. So we see who's going to win this. Dell's going to end up with 99 votes. Lenovo is going to stay at 43. And so Dell is going to be the faculty's new computer.